Yo, good morning. It's Friday, and I thought while I'm on my walk, I'll do a little talk, and I guess we could call it a little walk and talk. And I wanted to share about the new Superman, James Gunn's new Superman that just, as of this, just came out. It's in theaters now. My friend and I went and saw it last night. So I'll preface all of this with saying I've never been a huge Superman fan. I think past iterations, I felt he's been a little too stoic, a little too by the books, almost kind of like dorky, but not cool dorky. Like he's just like a, I don't know, kind of boring, dull. But I also haven't experienced too much of his comics because comics can be a bitch to get into sometimes. I knew James Gunn was behind it. I knew he was doing a pretty substantial part of the creation, production, and everything about this one. So I like Guardians of the Galaxy. I like the Suicide Squad. I like a lot of the stuff that James Gunn has done. So I was in. I felt this was the most cartoony, accessible, enjoyable, entertaining Superman that I've seen in a really long time. This one felt a little more enjoyable. Will I go see it again? Definitely not. Will I watch it again on streaming? Maybe, but I'm not like hyped to do that. But I think what works for this one, and why a lot of James Gunn's movies work, is he has this formula that he's tapped into that works really well for him. And you can kind of see the blueprints from the Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy in this one. And that formula could be working against him if he keeps it up. But, you know, you have a snarky main character in Superman, which I think this was, again, refreshing for me because he was kind of a dork in a comedic way, snarky. But he also felt a little naive, which for him being in his 30s, I think, in this one, and being that naive felt a little off, but not like character destruction or anything like that. Then the only other thing that I kind of had to say about it, I thought this was also probably the best Lex Luthor we've had. I know people like, oh, Kevin Spacey. One, yikes. And two, I think the only memorable thing about Kevin Spacey's Lex Luthor was in the trailer. It was that screaming that he did. I don't think there was anything else memorable about him from, which one was that? Was that the Brandon Routh one? Yeah, it's like, oh, that's right, because Eisenberg was Luthor in the Henry Cavill ones. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're kind of forgettable, the previous ones for me. And if you're going to make me say some negatives about this Superman, I would say the main ones would be that a lot of the supporting cast just kind of felt superfluous. Like a lot of the Daily Planet people were just kind of there. I think they got a name check like right near the end, like Beck Bennett character specifically. He might have got a name. I don't know. If it was like one of those really quick like naming off people kind of things, and it came and went. So I don't know what his character's name was. But yeah, the only negatives I have, I think, are there's a couple of plot points that are just like don't really hold up. Like didn't really make a lot of sense. Like one minute you love this guy, something comes out on it, which I guess is a commentary on 24-hour news cycles. So, you know, but one minute you love this guy, a video comes out that you can't actually determine is real or not. Suddenly you hate him. Very end, you're back on his side. It felt very wish-washy kind of mess, but it doesn't distract from the overall thing. They're very minor. Maybe I'm being a little pedantic about stuff like that. So I feel like there's probably just a lot of subtle references that if you're a Superman fan or DC fan, you're like, oh, I bet that means something. But this schmuck is probably more of a Marvel fan, but not by much, because I'm not a huge comic book fan. I'm more casual for both. That probably just went over my head. And then Krypto was cool. He definitely was very much like a dog. He wasn't treated as like this super being. He was treated like, oh, just an annoying dog that I have to foster and keep while, you know, whatever. So that was cool. I'll also say there were moments where this might have just been called Not So Subtle Man. There were some very on the nose commentary and plot points that felt, oh, hold on, I got something on my screen. Hold on. Oh, I can't get that off. I guess I'll have to stay for a bit. That felt very poignant, very of the time, which I think that's what Superman has kind of always been. He's been taking real life stories, implementing them into the arcs that he might be telling, the writers and everything. There were still just some lines that I felt were like, oh brother, on the nose, which isn't bad. Doesn't distract anything or take anything away from it. I'm just curious if 5-6 years they'll hold up. Maybe they will. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Really enjoyed it. Like I said, right before the end, before credits, I was like, this feels like a 4, which again is not bad. 4 out of 5 is really good. I think it's a good direction for the Superman series, based on my experiences. It's a little more lighthearted, a little more dorky, very cartoony, very over the top. They did a good job of making you feel like he's the most super powerful thing on the planet. You know, he does get beat up. He's not impervious. He's not perfect, which I thought was a nice touch. But yeah, overall enjoyed it. I think if James Gunn is going to be behind this continuously, and he has his formulas that hopefully don't get stale, I think we're in good for a nice Superman reboot, which the series kind of needed. And yeah, I'll keep an eye on it. Definitely recommend it for sure. If you're a comic book fan, you've probably already seen it, or you're already going to see it this weekend. But I would say it's definitely worth watching. If you can't make it to theater, I'm sure it'll hit streaming by holidays. So check it out then. But yeah, 4 out of 5, Superman, James Gunn. Yeah, enjoyable. Thanks for joining me on this walk and talk. And you see me get progressively sweatier. Gross, sorry, it's like 88 degrees. And it's summer, that's what happens. But yeah, maybe I'll do this again for Fantastic Four, or even something from the past that I need to talk about that I want to. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, let me know. All that YouTube jargon, like, comment, etc. But yeah, have a good weekend, nerds.